if you were looking to travel domestically and you had found your flight and you were thinking that the prices will reduce, then let me tell you, they will not. Because the government has brought in a major policy change where the price cap on the domestic flights has been removed. So your prices of your flights will be moving dynamically and you might have to pay way more than you had actually decided to. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to understand that why government decided to remove the price cap on the domestic flights, which could have been in consumers' welfare, which could have helped them with prices, and why did the government initially place the price cap itself. So let us start from scratch, understanding that what exactly has unfolded. So when we are talking about the current decision, what government has decided? Government has said the price caps that were placed on the domestic flight prices, that will be removed. This will be valid from March 23rd and this decision has been taken by Ministry of Civil Aviation. Now when we are talking about these price cap, what was this and why it was placed? Now this price cap on domestic flights were the maximum limit on the price that the flight operators could charge. This was placed because of the Indigo disruption that took place in December. So, Ministry of Civil Aviation decided that because of the disruption, there would be exuberant charges, exuberant prices for the domestic flights itself, and there will be sudden fare spike which will be against consumer protection. So, in order to protect the consumers from these sudden fare hikes, what happened? Ministry of Civil Aviation stepped in and set in a price cap. They were like, this is going to be the limit. Now, if the Ministry of Civil Aviation had decided to protect the consumers from sudden fare spikes, then why they have all of a sudden removed it? They have removed it for valid reasons. Let us understand those reasons. First reason, the domestic operations which were disrupted in December, they are normalized now, they are stable. Second, we have to remember the geopolitical situation, the Iran war that is ongoing and the increase in ATF, that is air turbine fuel. So rising cost for the operators is also problematic for the government itself because government would not want to hinder the growth. And whenever we talk about price limiters, price cap, they distort the efficiency of the market. So the government did not want to disrupt the efficiency and growth. So government thought that okay, now the domestic operations are stabilized and the operators need a respite for growth, for efficiency. So this is the time to remove the price caps. And that is why the price caps placed on different categories. For example, up to 500 km, the maximum fare by the government, it was 7,500. For 500 to 1000 km, it was 12,000 rupees maximum fare. For 1000 km to 1500, the government allowed the maximum fare of 16,000. And above 1500 km, it was 18,000. That was the maximum fare. Now this maximum fare was the price cap which has been removed. How the prices will be decided now? The prices will be decided now through dynamic pricing. So there are two important concepts here which are important. We will be understanding both of them. First is the price cap. What exactly is a price cap? Price cap is nothing but a maximum price that has been told by the government that any operator, any seller cannot sell beyond this price. So when we are looking at market equilibrium, you already must know that where supply and demand meet, that is the place where market reaches the equilibrium price. But when we talk about price ceiling, it is usually placed below the equilibrium price, and as you can see in the graph, it is clearly where demand is more than supply, right? In a reverse situation where supply is more and demand is lesser, government comes with a different policy, that is of price floor. That means this is the minimum price that is to be paid in market. If you want to understand something for price floor, you can connect it to the concept of MSP. Government says this is the minimum price that we are going to give. So this is in a situation where supply is higher but demand might be lesser. Now what government has said? Government has said no, we will not be placing any price cap, price ceiling. We will be moving to what? We will be moving to dynamic pricing. Let us understand what is dynamic pricing. Dynamic pricing is the pricing which is done based on market factors. That means the prices will fluctuate real time and the price will be decided based on demand and supply. Demand and supply. So if there is a situation where there is higher demand and supply is limited, in this situation we will see price rise. So there is a possibility that same flight might have different prices at different times. That means across the time which is demanded more, there will be price differentiation which will exist. So for example, an absolutely early morning flight which many of us dread to go on, this might be cheaper because that is in less demand. But a midday flight or a flight which can place you in the office by time, that might be more in demand, and that is why that might be more expensive as compared to the other flight. So that is how dynamic pricing is going to work, and this brings definitely some pros and cons for both consumers and operators. Now let us look into that. So when we are talking about this situation, the benefit would be to all those consumers who are planning early because they will get lower fares. The dynamic pricing, it's not that they will not get dynamic pricing, they will also get dynamic pricing, but at the same time they might be saved because of the real time excessive demand which can shoot up the prices. Other than that, there might be flexible travelers. For example, if they find a flight which is in the morning and it is expensive, they might change it to the other day. So they might get discounts on that. But the problem, the consumers who would be impacted would be the urgent travelers. They would be hit the hardest by these high prices, and especially the passengers who would be moving in the peak season. And when we are talking about this decision and we look it from the perspective of consumer welfare, so December Ministry of Civil Aviation said that we want to bring uniform pricing because we want to protect the consumers. It will be predictable, but it was beneficial and predictable for consumers. But operators were getting hit by it, they found it inefficient. Now there is variable pricing. This has become efficient for the operators, but it is going to cost the consumers. So here is a constant trade-off which is present between consumers, either they will be benefited, or producers, they will be benefited. Now when we look at it from the perspective of operators, we do get to see that airlines were having high ATF costs, troubled times because of disruption, because of global conflicts, and this has worked as a huge respite. Now they will have revenue optimization, they will have better load factor, they will be able to utilize their seats better, and there will also be financial stability. So you have to see it in form of this very clear mechanism, because the cost pressures on the operators, airlines, it was increasing, profit margins were decreasing. They needed to get away from the price caps because the profit margins had become limited, and that is why they were looking towards flexible pricing, and the removal of caps happened. Now I hope you have a fair clarity on this topic. Let me know in the comment section that what might be the challenges which will emerge from the removal of price caps which has been done by the government. Now I will be leaving you here with a practice question. Let me know the answer of this question in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.